so you can get another arrow. And actually, we'll measure. Alright, we'll get a tape measure. To the end of the ferrule, we'll have we're gonna go 12 1/4. One is see, that one was the dead center hole. So this one right here, smallest entry hole it looks like. There's the arrow, almost made all the way through the gelatin. You can see the 2-inch Swhacker cut. And on the back side, the same thing. The exit. And this one's going to win the penetration test by far. With inches to the end of the ferrule. Alright, a bit of a disclaimer here before we jump into the ins and outs of this test. This wasn't an accurate representation of what a deer was. That's kind of what I shot out or set out to do at the beginning. Obviously it didn't turn out to be the case. A broadside shot with just ribs and vitals here will be a pass-through with even the lightest setups, let alone what I'm using. As for my setup, I was using a 2013 Hoyt Carbon Element G3 with a 29-inch draw length and a 70-pound draw weight. I was using Easton Flatline 340 spined arrows with nocturnal nocks. The total weight for the Grim Reaper arrow and Broadhead combination was 359.6 grains. For the other two setups, it would be 374.6 grains. And that was with the Swhacker and the fixed blade NAP Thunderheads. I've never chronoed my bow itself. I've watched lots of reviews of people chronoing and read on Archery Talk, different things like that. People's results with chronoing their own carbon element. It does pretty good with its IBO. I'm not saying it is IBO. I'm not sure any bow is IBO, but some people say it is. I think that might just be, some. I don't know if they've actually experienced that or they just really like their Hoyt. I'm gonna say that this one's 7 under IBO, so instead of 332 feet per second, it's gonna be at 325. That's IBO. That's not my setup specifically, but I'm gonna say that that's what this bow could actually shoot if it was at 30 inches and a 350 grain arrow. Since I'm an inch off of IBO, I think they generally accepted at 10 feet per second is for every inch you're off. Also 3 grains, for every 3 grains of arrow and broadhead weight that's over 350 grains, you take 1 foot per second off of your speed. The that would mean that my two different arrow and broadhead combinations, for the lighter one, the 85 grain Razortip, Grim Reaper Razortip, it would be spitting out that arrow at about 312 feet per second. And for that, the two other ones, the Swhacker and the new archery products, Thunderhead, I'd be spitting them out at about 307 feet per second. The target was 10 yards away from the bow when it was shot. And that is it for my disclaimers. Alright, here's the frame I used for my broadhead test. Initially set out to make something that simulated the deer, the width of a deer. The plywood here is 1/2 inch, supposed to simulate rib bone. The ballistic gel I used was 4 1/4 inches. It was homemade with just gelatin packets with the 1 ounce of gelatin to the 1 cup of water ratio. Just looked up how to do it on YouTube. I think it's my 3rd time doing ballistic gel, so I was satisfied with it. And then on the back side, more ribs. Obviously failed a little bit here, being that at 10 yards with that setup, I'd get a pass through every time in a rib shot, a vital shot like this, and my arrows were just shish kebabbing it. So gelatin obviously provided too much resistance. Not a big deal though, just wanted to get the cut, wanting to test out the Grim Reapers. I've already used the Thunderheads and the Swhackers before and satisfied with both, but just wanting to get something lighter for more of an IBO setup versus a kinetic energy. Here's the entry holes. I'm not sure how well this is showing up. This one right here is the, see, that'd be the last shot, which would be the Swhacker. This one here is going to be the Grim Reaper, and then the top right one right here, and then, as you can see with the already expanded up here, here, and here, that's going to be the Thunderhead, the only fixed blade we tested. Here's the back side of the entry holes. It's not going to be able to show up very well. We'll get to the gelatin here in a second. Here's the back side of there. It's a little light color. I won't be able to see it very well either. And then here is the exit holes. And this would be Grim Reaper. This is Swhacker. And this peels out. This right here is the Thunderhead by New Archery Products. Alright, this is the entrance side, or the side the broadheads first entered the ballistic gelatin. Start with the first shot, which was the Grim Reaper. It's right here. It looks to be fully deployed. I'll get my tape measure here in a second and measure it, but it looks like from between the entrance hole and the 6 inches that it took to get to the gelatin, the blades had fully open, weren't flopping around and back closing or failed to open. All of them were fully open. It says it's 1 3/8 cut on there. We'll go from tip to tip. You're looking like 1.5 inches there. Obviously, you do a circle though. It's not going to be 1.5 inches. That's just from the tip of one blade to another. So they're fully open. The Swhacker is going to be right in the center. For some reason, I've already got some deformation on the ballistic gel. I don't remember seeing that when I initially filmed the actual test. but the 2-inch cut sliced right through there, and I'm guessing that's going to be the full 2 inches. That's showing, yep, that's the full 2-inch cut there, so it had fully open. And then the New Archery Products Thunderhead was right here. Kind of got a weird looking cut on it. Obviously there's nothing to blame, or probably just something with the way the ballistic gel set, with maybe some air bubbles or something, because that's a solid broadhead. It's all one piece, so it's not like blades weren't deploying or anything, so I don't know what's up with the funny cut. But it boasts an 1 3/16" cut, and once again you're going to be a little under 1.5 inches from the tip of one blade to another. That's obviously not going to be the diameter of the cut though, so. Alright, we'll flip over to the exit holes on this side. Not sure how well these are going to show. I'll show up fine. Alright, Grim Reaper, start with it again. The first shot was right here. Again, looks to be fully deployed. Each blade looks like it was fully open. Stayed open through the whole channel, it would appear. So did the Swhacker. Still got your 2-inch slice. And once again, got some deformation here in the middle of the face of the ballistic gel. I'm not sure what's up with that. And then a more regular looking cut here, probably the most uniform cut because of the fixed blade with the Thunderhead. So that's a little more like it. I don't know what was up with that front side. Maybe it had something, maybe it was carrying some particle board or something like that. But that's the exit side of the ballistic gel for all 3 broadheads. Alright, and as for the broadheads themselves, they all made it through the test fine. It's just particle board and ballistic gel they went to. Matter of fact, all of them are just as sharp, feel just as sharp as they initially were when I first got them out of the package. These were all 3 new broadheads, never been fired before or shot before. This is the Grim Reaper Razor Cut. It's 83 grain. It's got the, like I mentioned earlier, it's the 1 3/8" cut. The blades are spring loaded, so you don't have to deal with any shrink bands or the Rage O-ring, whatever they call that disaster. But these blades lock backwards, and they still, some people complain about them flying back forward. Through this test, I didn't see that. Like I said, no damage to this at all. Trocar tip is still very sharp. Blades, I'm not sure how well you can see them, but they still have a very good edge on them. So definitely would be inclined to use these. I mean, I'm going to try these out this year. I've already got a box of these, got 2 more on top of this one. I wouldn't hesitate to throw this one at a deer. So might run a sharpener over the blade just in case. But like I said, I would not run my finger over this blade at all, even though I've already shot it through plywood. Alright. Here's the New Archery Products, the NAP Thunderhead. Didn't have a problem with it either. It performed just as expected. You know, just your normal fixed blade broadhead, and pretty fail proof. I guess I can't say that nothing's fail proof, but it performed just as, you know, I thought it would. Blades are still super sharp. Try to get the edge on there as best I can. No damage to the tip, of course. I'm not sure what they call their tip. This isn't like a chisel tip or anything. It comes actually to a pretty fine, like a pencil looking point. But it's broad. I think I'll show you the difference here. The Swhacker and the Grim Reaper have these. I think they're trocar tips. I might be wrong. Some kind of chisel tip. But Thunderheads use something different. Thunderheads have been around forever. And are obviously pretty proven. People use them and like them. Good kinetic energy, broadhead, not losing anything when blades open up, just like with any foot. Broadhead isn't a steep broadhead or blade angle, so you're not losing much there. They really slice versus tug. Nothing to complain about here, perform well. Alright, and then the final broadhead. Aftermath here is the Swhacker. I think everybody's probably pretty familiar with these. They've had the shrink band on it, of course, initially. Flew off once it made impact. These open up after it makes initial contact. I showed you when I measured. It was fully deployed already upon entering, but all broadheads were fully deployed upon entering, including this one. It had the full 2-inch cut already within 4 inches going through the plywood and into the ballistic gel. Stayed open all the way through the gel. Because of the nature of particle board, I'm not able to get like a real clean look at the slice through there. It kind of tucks back because of all the particles and condensed wood. It kind of tucks back in there, so I wasn't able to measure the particle board cut itself. Maybe I'll use a different material next time, and so I can do that to see if it stayed open through it too. But I'm guessing just because of the velocity of the arrow and the pressure against these blades, I don't see them pushing back forward as it's flying forward at however many feet per second it is after it got through that ballistic gel. But I could be wrong. That'd be something good to test next. Blades are still very sharp. I'd say out of all of them, they are actually the dullest. That's not saying much though. I could still easily cut my finger running it up and down that blade. Still wouldn't hesitate to use this on a deer again, but I wouldn't. I mean, if I just shot it through gel, I would sharpen any of my blades before I took them in the field, just because I like to know that I have the blades as sharp as possible when I hit the stand. So no complaints here. It penetrated the furthest. I'm guessing that's just because of 2 blades versus 3. Swhacker makes a good product with these. As a disclaimer of some faults with the testing, the blade, it was the 3rd broadhead that was shot through it. I think on the gel it actually touched another hole. So I mean, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, if it had a little less resistance traveling through. Like I said, this was not a fail-proof. This was my first time to any kind of formal test here. And I wouldn't even call it a test, more of an experiment than anything. Hit here, I'm not saying one broadhead's better than the other. They're 3 very different broadheads. They have 3, very different use. All kill deer, but they could be used with all kinds of different setups. But that's that. Alright, in conclusion, this is Outdoor Enthusiast. I appreciate you watching. This is an unbiased review or test or experiment, whatever you want to call it. All the broadheads seem to perform as they said they would. None of them I was disappointed in. I'd use all of them in the field. I have used all of them in the field, except for the 85 grain Grim Reaper, which I intend to use this year. Just the point of the test, using it up against 2 broadheads I'm familiar with. And yeah, I give them all a recommendation. Thanks.